The 2012 Scottish Legends Championship starts here. This is one of the most frantic championships we have, action-packed, short races, and I want to have a quick chat with the main man from the Legends, Ali Hunter.
Hiya, how you doing?
Ali, good so far, good dry conditions here at round one. You've again turned out a full grid of cars, fantastic spectacle, the Legends racing. What's new for 2012?
There isn't anything actually new. I think it's a question of the format's not broke, so don't fix it. We have had a tyre change. We're on federal tyres now for wet and dry this year. So some of us are cutting our teeth in what the pressures to runners should be and how quick they go off and stuff like that. But other than that, no, just it's as usual, popular self.
A lot of these cars are run by you personally from your Legends garage here at Knockhill. How many cars do you have that you're responsible for spannering here on the grid?
We've only got 7 today, so we're not so bad.
Only 7?
Yeah, well, it
sounds a handful.
Well, it can be. Most of my drivers are quite clean and tidy and don't get into too much bother. We will run at one point this year, we will run 14 cars at one of the meetings.
14 cars?
Yeah, that is a real headache. I don't sleep for that.
Good.
4 days beforehand.
Good stuff. Well, I know it's really popular with spectators. The guys on the TV and the crowds always come off and down to the bankings to watch a Legends race. So hopefully this proves to be as exciting as we've seen it in the past.
Yeah, that'll be really nice. I hope it's just a good, clean race. It's always difficult the first season. Guys have tested, they're back into driving their cars, but racing's a different story. You also need to get back into racing. So I've got my fingers crossed for a calm, quick, fun race.
Good stuff. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
I'll hand it to Richard for a run through of the starting order.
Thanks a lot, Joe. We've got Scott Hines and Gerald McCosh on the front row of the grid, then Billy Waite and Alan Fernley, Ross Marshall and David Allen completing the first 3 rows. Remember, this is a reverse grid, so those guys are going to be at the back in race 2. At the back of the grid, we've got a separate group for newcomers and gentlemen. David Newell on pole, then David Micklejohn and Daniel Mackay. So they're the runners off the back of the field. John Bushby, a newcomer as well. Welcome to John. He's racing in car number 91. Cars on there, green flag lap for a rolling start here in the Legends cars, the opening race of the 2012 season, and 21 cars, a good field, a couple of regulars missing out as we look at John Bushby at the back of the field, brand new driver to motor racing here in Scotland. We wish him well, and on pole position in an unusual colour, Scott Hines in green, Gerald McCosh on his outside, back for another season. Napoleon the Pig, of course, emblazoned on the back. Let's see how they get away. Second row, Alan Fernley and Billy Waite. And it's a good, clean start here on the dry circuit. Great start by Scott Hines in green, who gets away. Billy Waite in third place. There's Gerard McCosh in car number 69, who gets away well too. But the red and white car is Ross Marshall. Now, those of you that were following the closed season goings on in Scottish Legends will know that Ross Marshall was off rallying this year, and indeed Ross has done a rally already this year in a Subaru, but he can't keep away from Legends, and at the last minute this weekend has registered or re-registered from a team car to an individual car, which obviously gives us the notion that he's going to be doing the individual championship, defending his title rather than sharing the car over the course of the season. So there is Ross in car number 3, who's looking up the inside of Gerald McCosh, who going for second place, and Marshall's through. It's 2 for the price of 1 as he comes down into the hairpin at the end of lap 1. Ross Marshall outside of row 3, up into lead position on 1 lap as we go on board with Robbie Burgoyne, looking back at Eric Palazzo coming out of the hairpin up the grid lines. Pulling away from Eric, he started on the inside of row 4, and Robbie's making progress down the inside of Alan Fernley. Great progress then. Fernley, car number 80, man from Crieff, dropping back a little bit. Great to see Alan running in the main pack, and some very good clean racing to be had. Ali Hunter, of course, very busy running a number of cars. It sounds like he's got his work cut out later in the season as well. Worked so hard, and it's Ross Marshall in car number 3. The 25-year-old from Alloa, double champion in Scottish Legends, 2009 champion. Running really well is Ross Marshall at the moment, and I'll tell you what, you'd be a brave man or woman to bet against him winning this one. Now he's got to the front. Scott Hines in green in second position. His brother Chris has got a new livery as well. He's running in black. Bit of a lock up there for Billy Waite as Carol Brown nips through on the inside in car number 7, up into 4th place. Carol, another late addition to the championship, and a very welcome addition too. I just paused to hear those magnificent Yamaha engines going past. They make a terrific sound, so evocative, particularly if you're at the track, right up there on the pit wall or as close to the circuit as you can get to see these cars. But they're down to Scotsman Corner, and Ross Marshall leading this one. Out as a car off there. That's Daniel Mackay, car number 91. Daniel's off. That's bitter disappointment for him, the son of Paul Mackay, who joined us last year. Paul, of course, involved in sponsoring Gordon Shedden in the British Touring Car Championship. Both very welcome to the championship. That's disappointing for Daniel, but I think Paul's going to have bragging rights in this one as we look at the cars going through his laps. And Ross Marshall starting to build a bit of a lead here. Hasn't got fastest lap at the moment. Gerald McCosh still there in third place. Now remember, started alongside Scott Hines on the front of the grid. Let's see whether he can close him down once he gets into a little bit of rhythm. Gerard from Bigger down in the borders, and up the hill we go. Carol Brown in fourth position, trying to catch up with those guys as well. So Carol started on the outside of row 4, so she's made excellent progress as well. And there's the red and blue car of Robbie Burgoyne, reigning rookie champion, running well. So Robbie Burgoyne, behind him, car number 37, Dean Brace. Now, I would say a national driver, raced in the National Championship last year. He's raced with us in Scotland a few times. He's had one outing this year in Legends cars already. That was on the short ovals, and I think he found that quite enlightening. Great that the drivers can be that adaptable. They can go from circuit racing. He's done a bit of kart racing as well to have a go on the ovals, and Dean Brace has done that. And he goes through on the inside of Billy Waite as Robbie Burgoyne tries to challenge car number 5, which is Kieran Murray, back with us for another season with Burnett Motorsport. And Kieran running well. Didn't see too much of him last year as Gerard McCosh challenges for second place. McCosh, very neat, very tidy, as you would expect from a driver of his calibre. Down the inside, Scott Hines goes wide, and Carol Brown's going to go through on the inside as well. This is good, clean racing, exactly what we want and expect from the Legends cars. And say it's a 20-car field, a couple of regulars away. I'm sure they'll be back later on in the season. But good clean stuff. Carol looking for that third place at the moment. Scott just dropping back a wee bit at the moment. David Hunter in car number 6 is the fastest man on track at the moment. It's a 60.964, average speed of 75.586 miles per hour, and lots of little battles going on all the way down the field. Well, sadly, we've lost John Bushby as well, so our newcomer John Bushby is not going to get his first race finish as we go on board with the 2011 rookie champion Robbie Burgoyne, who picked up a couple of trophies up at the SMRC Awards at the end of last year, through on the inside of car number 17, Billy Waite. So Billy drops the position. Good to see Billy back in harness as well, one of the more mature drivers in the championship. And here comes Bracey, Dean Brace, son of Nick Brace, another national championship star, coming up the inside in car number 37. See how close they get. No contact made. Good precision driving from them. And look at the gap between the cars there as well. Running well. Now through on the inside of David Allen. He's one of the rookies. He's going to be vying for the rookie championship. Car number 82, the White Machine, did a couple of races with us last year. Mightily impressive. Carol Brown is now up into third place. Ross Marshall has a huge lead at the moment over Gerard McCosh, with Carol Brown in third position now, Scott Hines in fourth. But here is the race leader, Ross Marshall, on board with Ross, coming up into Clark Corner, branded as Carluth, of course. Neat and tidy, a little bit of opposite lock there, that might scrub a couple of tenths of a second away from Ross's lap time as he comes through his lops. Railway straight, down towards the hairpin, in towards the closing stages of the first race of the 2012 season. And Gerard McCosh coming under pressure from Carol Brown. Carol on the outside, the black and white 7 car has got a nose in front as they come into the hairpin, but Gerard's got the line. And again, that space between the two drivers just show how much respect there is between the two. Robbie Burgoyne is in 5th place at the moment. There's Kieran Murray in red and white, Dean Brace in black and white in 7th place, David Hunter in the mix as well, Paul O'Brien somewhere there as well, car number 9. Paul running with a new car this weekend over from Ireland. Remember this meeting last year, his compatriot Nicky Meredith came over for the opening round and won the day. Didn't see him again throughout the rest of the season, but Nicky and his dad Ed working hard on trying to continue to establish the Legends Cars Irish Championship. Remember, you can race Legends in Europe, you could race them in a national championship based mainly in England, as Carol comes up the inside as well of Gerard McCosh. But Gerard again, good clean racing from them. This is allowing Scott Hines to come back in green. Scott's new livery certainly working for him at the moment, looking very, very impressive in the 26 car. Now, can Robbie Burgoyne catch them? They're going to look a tall order for Robbie, but again, Carol taking this wide line down into real radio corner. Side by side they go, very wide indeed. That's going to leave the door open for Scott Hines back up into third. Scott into third. Now, will Carol get a better run as the cars come onto the last lap to retake third position? Ross Marshall, absolutely no problems for him out front. Remember, this stage last year he had a number of mechanical problems which robbed him of the championship lead, robbed him of some wins, and it was Carroll Brown that had the rub of the green, as it were, early on in the season last year. And Ross Marshall seems to be running very well indeed. That number 3, Beatson's car, running well. A little bit of a drift out of John Arweer for the last time, and just around about half a lap to go. He's on his way to another win. He'll be he's the 3rd highest in the number of career wins table, behind Colin Noble and of course Ben Mason. And I think even if Ross was to win every single race this year, he wouldn't catch Ben Mason this year. And nobody at the moment, though, in the race looking like they're going to catch Ross Marshall in this one, because he's done the difficult bit. Now it's up the hill to see the checkered flag, which is there. Ross Marshall takes the first win in the Scottish Championship. Here comes the battle for 2nd position. It's Gerard McCosh second. Carroll Brown's back into 3rd, just pipping Scott Hines up across the line. Here comes Robbie Burgoyne, the rookie champion from last year, across the line in 6th from Kieran Murray. Then it's Dean Brace, David Hunter, Paul O'Brien, Billy Waite rounding off the top 10. Confirmation of that: Ross from Gerard, Carroll Brown 3rd from Scott Hines, Robbie Burgoyne and Kieran Murray. 7th was Dean Brace, then David Hunter and Paul O'Brien, Billy Waite 10th, then David Allen, top rookie from Alan Fernley, Chris Hines 13th, David Newell, another rookie, 14th from Ali Tom, then Eric Palazzo, Paul Mackay and Kevin Kettlewell. David Micklejohn comes home in 19th place.
Welcome to another episode of Racing No Filter. Joining me in sunny California, Bill Wood, and down in sunny Florida, Peter King.
We're going to take a look at some of the products HPD has created for the 2012 Honda Civic, and specifically we're going to show you how to install an adjustable sway bar.
Until then, folks out there, you take care.
The winner of the first Legends race is a man I didn't expect to see here. It's Ross Marshall, last year's champion. Last-minute decision to even be here today.
It was. I was on holiday in Las Vegas last week, and Stephen, my team boss, phoned me. He's like, "Look, your car's sitting there ready. Do you want to go out?" So I was like, "Aye, why not? We can go out and see how the car goes." So didn't get the engine back until late last night. The guys worked hard to put it in this morning. Jim and Steve at Burnett set the car up fantastic. So great way to start the season.
3rd place in the first Legends race, again former champion Carroll Brown. Carroll, you started away down in 7th, fought your way up, but 3rd's the best you could do on this occasion.
Yeah, it was. We just changed the brake pads going into that first race as well, so first couple of laps are a little bit just trying to get used to them again, so just try to fight my way as far up as I could get in the first race. It's obviously early days, so just try to get some solid points in, but to be honest, I'm pretty lucky to be out there. Until a week ago I wasn't going to be racing anything, so a big thank you to Stevie and the guys at Burnett Motorsport for trying to get me back out as well, and pretty lucky, so we'll see what we can do.
An honest answer, how pleased are you to see Ross back?
Not very. I wish he would go away and leave us alone.
Good stuff, well done Carroll, it's a long season ahead.
Oh, definitely, thank you.
And the 2nd place man from the Legends Championship, one of our more senior drivers, you won't mind me saying that, it's Gerard McCosh, dicing it up at the front there with these Burnett Motorsport cars.
Yes, enjoy racing Carroll and Scott, who was pretty close by. Good fun, managed to hold Carroll off, which surprised me slightly, but succeeded. I'm sort of determined, really.
Absolutely, you've been at this championship for a long time. Could this be your year?
Who knows? Who knows? Not with the likes of Ross going as well as he is, not a chance. But
well, that's a spirit. Anyway, talk us through this pig here. He's a bit shabby and dirty. He's been on there for a few seasons, hasn't he?
Yes, this is about his third or fourth season. He does get a wash occasionally, but it's almost impossible to get the grime off without taking all the colour out the pig, which is what happened to the two previous ones. They went white.
Ah, so it's not the original.
No, this is number 3, Napoleon III. Getting bigger each time, but I don't think I can go much bigger than that one.
Well, let's see if we can get the pig on the top step of the podium later on today.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Always hope.
Well done, Gerard.
Thank you very much.
Now, the rain has stopped falling, but it's still very much wet. The track throwing up loads of spray, and it's time for the Legends race number 2. So it's going to be interesting. Let's have a look at our pole position, man. Now, obviously, the grids get swapped up a little bit here, and it's ended up with David Hunter up on pole position. Rain, wet conditions at Knockhill. What's your thoughts?
To be honest, I feel I'm in the best place for the start of the race. Because at the front you've not got to deal with spray or any cars darting off in front of you. But on the other hand, I'm the first car into the corner, so it's kind of catch 50.
Exactly, that's the horrible situation, because you have to set the pace. It's easy for everybody else because they just go a little bit quicker than you go, but you don't know where the edge of that grip is.
Well, the Legends, there's no a lot of grip all the time, regardless of the weather, so you just got to feel it with your foot and see how it goes.
Well, it'll be interesting to see if you can stay there. No doubt it's going to be exciting. It's always explosive racing, so good luck. That's David Hunter up on the pole position in number 6 car. I want to wander over this way, towards the back of the grid, to a newcomer to the Legends Championship. And it is John Bushby, and you'll see him here in his freshly painted number 6 car. John, I'm going to call you a newcomer, although technically you have done a little bit last year, but basically this is your first full season of car racing. Wet conditions, I spoke to you through the week. You said let's have a nice, dry, sensible running, but this is Knockhill and it's thrown up some rain for you.
It's true. Unfortunately, the first session there in the dry, I sheared a drive shaft, so I had to pull in, so I've got no experience off that one. So this is the first real race, and unfortunately, wet conditions. So
exactly, and these are a handful in the wet.
Definitely, they definitely are, and I do believe that there's a drop of oil on the circuit at some point, so that should also make it interesting.
It's interesting and it's exciting for us to watch, but obviously for you in the car, it's not that exciting. It's more of a frightening experience.
Yeah, you could say frightening, Joe. I mean, you yourself, you've raced, you know what it's like. They are a handful. They want to skite about all the place, but you try your best and keep going with it, and just hope that we can stay with them and hang on to it this time.
Now,
and hopefully no breakdowns.
Exactly, good luck with that. Now, John knows motorsport inside and out, because not only are you driving, but you're also a marshal, or have been a marshal as well. You've done years and years of marshalling, so you know it inside and out.
Well, yes, I've marshalled here at Knockhill for probably 8 years now, doing the touring cars and the club meetings. I also marshalled the motorbikes, the superbikes and such. I just love the sport and motorsport in general, so it's good for me to come to the other side of the fence and become a competitor. And hopefully everybody out there that's in orange is going to be shouting for me today. So
yeah, there'll be big support for you, and you're probably one of the very few people, as bad as it is, that's polite and nice to the marshals after they've just had an accident.
Well, yes, as I said, being up the outside of the fence, it is a difficult thing, especially when the drivers are so frustrated for a simple mistake.
Yeah. Their own mistake, to be fair. I mean, the marshals are stood out there. At least you're sweating and reasonably warm in here. These guys are stood out there in the thrashing rain and wind.
Yes, and the weather does play a big part. You can't thank the marshals enough for being out there in the weather, and we do put up with all the weathers to make sure that the competitors can race. Now that I'm onto a competitive side, I support the marshals 100% because they do a fantastic job.
Absolutely. Now, racing costs a lot of money. Obviously, people are on board helping you. Quick opportunity, give them a shout out. Who's helped you in putting you in this position?
Well, I'd like to say a big special thank you to all the sponsors that have come on board with me. DB Hydraulics, Automotive Sport, Plant Glazing, which are a plant company for all the glass of it, which unfortunately, as you see, I don't have any glass in the car, but that is a good sponsorship from Plant Glazing. Leave and Seat, the company I work for, they also sponsor me. We deal with waste management and things, so it's just a real big thank you to all my sponsors and to my partner Trish for everything that she's done with me for this last 3-4 months to get this ready today.
Yeah, putting up with the late nights.
Yes, yes, and you know the late nights yourself, so yes, it is a lot of late nights.
Good stuff.
very much.
Well done, John. Good to see you here, and have a good race.
I shall try. Thanks.
There we go. There's John Bushby in the number 6 car, 06 orange, because he used to be a marshal. I'll hand it to Richard for the grid for heat number 2.
Thanks very much, Joe. As we mentioned, it's reverse grids in Legends Racing, so the ones that started at the back are at the front in this one. And as you saw, David Hunter on pole position with Paul O'Brien, who started at the back next to him. Then it's Dean Brace, Robbie Burgoyne after a strong finish in race number 1, so he's at the front. Then Chris Hines and Kevin Kettlewell, Kieran Murray and Daniel Mackay on the 4th row of the grid. So it gives us a fair chance for everybody to have a go at getting up to the front of the field, having a bit of camera time as well from the early stages of the race, because it's difficult to cover everybody right the way down the mix. And of course, the final race, reverse grid again, but with the lesser scoring points drivers from the first 2 races at the back. But the safety car, pace car, has gone off onto the tri-oval, so we're ready to go racing here for a wet race here at Knockhill. Let's see how we go. Paul O'Brien, unusually in a black car this weekend, so something new for us to get used to. Great start by everyone. Looks like they're all the way well. Kevin Kettlewell is the car with the white, red and the spots as well. Starting on the 2nd row, there is the 06 car of John Bushby, as Joe said, moving over, changing sides of the fence. Still in orange though, which is great, I think. And off goes Dave Hunter. Hunter off into the gravel, but keeps it back on. Robbie Burgoyne goes up the inside and takes the lead. Burgoyne leads. David Hunter 2nd. The black car of Paul O'Brien is there in 3rd place as they go through John R. Weir for the first time. And it's really like a skating park out there. And Dave Hunter now comes back down the inside of Burgoyne. Good recovery from him. Let's see what Robbie can do around the outside as they come up to, look at that, Dave Hunter really squirrely fighting the conditions here. Jared McCosh off the back running well. Just got a quick look there at one of the new drivers, Dave Newell, in a multi-coloured kind of black, red, stripy car. Hopefully we'll see David a little bit later on. Rally Dave they're calling him, because there are 2 Daves running in Burnett Motorsport. Dave Hunter is in first, the lead car, lead group at the moment. There is the number 4 car just going through. Great livery on Dave Newell's car. So we've got Dave Hunter and we've got Rally Dave, just to distinguish between the 2 in the Burnett pit. But look at that, coming up from 10th on the grid is Ross Marshall, ahead of Carol Brown. Then down behind them it's 27, running well, Chris Hines. Chris started on the 3rd row, so I say running well. He's, I think, about on par with where he started at the moment. He's 27, but he's got some real fast drivers ahead of him. Robbie Burgoyne leading from David Hunter. Here they come then. Burgoyne won a race here in the Knockhill Motor Racing Club run event, which was, I suppose, effectively a winter championship race, and he is getting away with this one at the moment. There is Ross Marshall coming up the inside of his teammate Paul O'Brien. Paul running under the Burnett awning this weekend, and those 2 side by side. Stunning first lap again from Ross Marshall, who's up into 3rd position and now busy chasing another teammate, David Hunter, but Robbie Burgoyne out front in 99. Paul O'Brien's going to have a look down the inside. Carol Brown chasing him. Then we go back, Chris Hines in the black 27 car having a good run as well. Kieran Murray behind him, then Kevin Kettlewell. Uphill they go, and car in pit lane, a white car, I think that's Dean Brace, car number 37, he's having problems, so not the best of events for Dean. Did pretty well in race number 1, but not having the luck here as they go down Duffer's Dip then, and it's still Robbie Burgoyne from David Hunter, but the man you've got to watch, Ross Marshall in car number 3, didn't get fastest lap in race 1, that went to the car that's in front of him, the white car of David Hunter. David, he comes from Alva, as opposed to Alloa. Kieran Murray from Alloa, and here they come then out of John R. Weir, and here comes Hunter challenging for the lead again. So he had the lead off the start. Has he got the position as they come through? Let's have a look. Ross Marshall's going to come through Clark as well. No, he hasn't, because there was more momentum for Burgoyne, and Hunter's messed it up, lost momentum as they come out of Clark's, and Ross Marshall up into 2nd position. So Ross Marshall from 10th on the grid, he's made up 8 places already. Now, 9 places already, can he make it up another one as they come into the hairpin? You get a real close view from the back of Robbie Burgoyne's car. Burgoyne hanging on to lead position at the moment, but here comes Marshall. Look at the car control. Loses it a little bit as they accelerate up the hill.
Want to keep up with all the racing action at the track? Well, download the new Go Racing TV iPhone and Android app. And remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
With so much racing going on in the world, you'd have to be a four-headed monster to keep up with it all. Luckily, we have that. Join Peter Keene, Bill Wood, Errol Tucker, and their guest driver analyst each week for an opinionated look at the news coming out of the racing world. Remember, it's GoRacingTV.com for all your racing and video needs.
Looks to the outside line as they come down to Scotsman. This could be brave. Maybe he'll go for the switch back on the inside. Gets it sideways. Opposite lock then for Marshall. And Dave Hunter's still there. Then Carol Brown, followed by Paul O'Brien running well in 5th position. Paul O'Brien's going to be pleased because we've got, well, 3 champions in the top 4. Reigning rookie champion, double champion Ross Marshall, former champion Carol Brown, who's also, of course, won ladies' titles in Scottish Minis and was a front runner in the Formula 4 Championship as well. But here we go, back on board with Robbie. At the moment, successfully defending from Ross Marshall, who looks like he has a run. Moves down. There he goes. Left of camera. Inside line. Lots of standing water on the inside here as they come down into the hairpin. Is he going to have to splash through that? Not too badly. Good clean racing from Robbie Burgoyne. Good respect there. Robbie gets it a little bit sideways, but he's lost the lead. And Ross Marshall sliding his way up the hill. And now Robbie Burgoyne's coming back because Ross was sliding. Loses momentum. They're side by side. Up across the line. What a cracker of a race between these two. Now Robbie Burgoyne, remember, because he was a newcomer last year, this is a very much last year was a learning year for him, and this year is a building year, and he's gone back into the lead. Cracking stuff from Burgoyne down into Scotsman corner, and Ross Marshall knows now that he's got a serious challenger on his hand for this year's championship. Never mind the fact that he's got Carol Brown behind him as well. Marshall over the curbs. Let's just keep an eye on the gap between the two cars. Over the curbs again. Look how snaky it is. Look at that control of the car. He's just doing everything now. A little bit of bump drafting. Now, was that bump drafting or a little tap? Bump drafting, I suspect, is a little bit longer, but Burgoyne goes wide as they go at Clark Corner. Ross Marshall loses out a little bit of the ground. This is going to help Carol Brown back into the mix here. Carol Brown, of course, with a 3rd place in race number 1. You can never, ever discount her in terms of a championship. And she's caught these two guys up. The championship could be about these guys. And Gerard McCosh, of course. Don't forget, Gerard is always a consistent point scorer. Up the hill they go again. Dave Hunter still there in 4th place. He's getting better and better. Paul O'Brien hasn't been shaken off as well. He's running really well. Just trying to have a gander back and see who's in 6th position. But they come down the hill again. And Robbie Burgoyne, is he going to take a Scottish championship win here as they go down Duffer Stip? Ross Marshall still in 2nd position. Carol Brown, look at the lines here. Now this time, Ross, well, that's a harrying move from Ross Marshall. He's not going for the line, not going for the racing line, but he's pointed. That's why he wanted the inside line as they go down into the chicane, and he's through back into lead position. Never mind the racing line, which you'll see many of the other formulas doing. Ross Marshall hounded him into the corner and then pointed the car down the inside line as they went into the chicane out of John R. Weir, and it's Ross Marshall back into the lead. Now can Burgoyne fight back? Burgoyne's taking a wider line, and I think he's looking for grip. That's the sort of line you see Pete Morton do in the National Legends. He'll go where the other drivers don't go, looking for grip in the wet, and sometimes it works for him, but I don't think it's working at the moment for Robbie Burgoyne because he's dropping back from Ross Marshall. Here comes Carol Brown challenging for 2nd position, but there wasn't quite room. But they close up as they go into the hairpin where Ross Marshall took a very, very wide line there, and is that going to stand him in good stead as he goes up the hill once again? This is the view back from the man in 2nd place, Robbie Burgoyne. Over the line, under the Beatson's Bridge, down the hill, into Duffer's Dip again. This is one of the most fearsome places in racing, and as you mentioned in the Scottish mini programme, the Scottish Motor Racing Club have got a licence to run races on this circuit anti-clockwise. So imagine what it'd be like going up Duffer's Dip and going down to the hairpin for the first lap. It's going to be some incredible action when Knockhill run those races, but through John R. Weir, and at the moment 2nd place, relatively safe for Robbie Burgoyne, but gets a little bit squirrely there as he comes out of John R. Weir, and Carol Brown comes down the inside, switches to the inside, and is Carol going to be through, or is Robbie going to have more grip? She's got her nose in front, up into Hislop's, they go through Clark's, and Robbie's back in front, but gets it sideways slightly again. Ross Marshall be perhaps affording himself a look in the mirror and thinking that these two dicing with each other is making a superb opportunity to slow each other up and allowing him to get away. David Hunter still there in 4th place, 5th position, and driving superbly is Paul O'Brien, who's now up challenging for 4th place. So O'Brien running really well as they come up now to take the last lap board. There it is on the pit wall. Ross Marshall buzzes everybody on the pit wall. Go back, and there's a spin for Kieran Murray. Murray spins, the rest of them I think recovering. Scott Hines running well and challenging. That'll be Billy Waite. And Gerard McCosh is out. Smoke out the engine problem for Gerard McCosh, I think, in 69. Disappointment for Gerard. Very, very rare that you see Gerard McCosh retire. Last lap then for Robbie Burgoyne over the Ross Marshall. Robbie Burgoyne as well, of course, behind him coming out of John Arweer. But it's going to be win number 2 here for Ross Marshall. One off the relative front, one off the relative back. And he has driven absolutely superbly in this one, with Robbie Burgoyne still in 2nd position. Great scrap going on for 2nd position. Carol Brown trying to get 2nd away from Robbie Burgoyne at the moment. David Hunter looks relatively safe in 4th position. No, he isn't, because Paul O'Brien's having a go at him. But here comes Ross Marshall, avoiding the puddles, avoiding the standing water, climbing up through the hairpin for the last time. Very neat, very tidy, up to the checkered flag for the 2nd time. Absolutely no doubt who's the top point scorer, and we'll start at the very back of the grid in the final. It's Ross Marshall, Robbie Burgoyne 2nd, Carol Brown 3rd, David Hunter in 4th place, Paul O'Brien an excellent 5th position. And we look back through the gloom, and here comes Scott Hines coming up into 6th position ahead of David Allen, top rookie again for David Allen, and there's David Newell. So the two rookies having a good battle together and finishing 7th and 8th. Another great race from the Scottish legends. Here's the result there. Ross Marshall the winner from Robbie Burgoyne, Carol Brown in 3rd from David Hunter, Paul O'Brien and Scott Hines rounding off the top 6. Ross Marshall getting fastest lap 2. 7th was David Allen from David Newell, then Billy Waite 9th and Alan Fernley 10th. 11th was Kevin Kettlewell and 12th place Kieran Murray. 13th goes to Eric Palazzo from Daniel Mackay, then it was Ali Tom and Paul Mackay. Chris Hines 17th and John Bushby 18th. 19th David Micklejohn, and in 20th place, a couple of laps down sadly after problems in the pits, Dean Brace. 2
winner for the legends, making a bit of habit of this now. Ross, last year's champion, you must be glad you made that decision to come back.
Oh, we had to come back and try and get the championship again. If we're going to get beaten, you're going to have to beat us on the track, but it's not going anywhere, so we'll do our talking on the track and everyone else can just up their game.
And you've taken the full top 3 positions on the podium as well.
Robbie's soloist, he runs himself with his dad, so but top 5 out of top 6 isn't bad for the first round back. We'll take that.
Absolutely, and a big thank you to the guys who helped out to make it possible.
You've got Stuart Young at YP, Stevie McCall, Jim at Burnett Motorsport, all fantastic. Just shows you what happens when you put the effort in.
Well done, Ross.
Cheers, Joe.
3rd place in the Legends Heat 2, same as Heat 1, 3rd place again.
Yeah, don't really want to get too used to being 3rd, but I suppose at some point you probably can't complain at being 3rd all the time. But it was a good race, I can't complain. We started in 10th, so managed to kind of get up to kind of 5th or 6th quite early on. There's a few of the guys, you know, had been a little bit hesitant, but been a little bit damp out there, so I was just trying to get as many places as I could at the start, but Ross got by me pretty early on and he was just away after that. But
I was going to say, Ross is on a mad mission. Your teammate Ross obviously just away at the front, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, just I could see myself catching him and Robbie when they were together, but once he got past Robbie, he was gone, and Robbie was putting up a hard fight there. I couldn't get past him at all.
I saw the conditions are affecting you, not so much in how it's slippery, but more the temperature. Are you cold?
Yeah, I'm freezing. It's the Tammy.
There you go, well done, Carl.
Top point scorer Ross Marshall starts at the back of the grid, but at the front we've got Paul Mackay and Ali Tom. Then it's Kevin Kettlewell and Chris Hines on row 2. Dean Brace and Eric Palazzo row 3. Gerard McCosh and Alan Fernley on row 4. But Gerard sadly blew his engine, as you saw in race 2. He will not therefore join us on the grid for this one. But it's a nerve-wracking moment for Paul Mackay. Front of the grid, very wet conditions. Alongside him an experienced Legends campaigner, Ali Tom. Kevin Kettlewell on the outside of the 2nd row, and Chris Hines in black, as we said, new livery for the Hines brothers this weekend. There is Ross Marshall, top point scorer. The cars behind, gentlemen or newcomers. And we're getting ready for 10 laps, a longer race to allow the top guns to come through from the back of the field. Lights on, and we wait for the race to start. There's Paul Mackay in car number 50. Let's see what sort of start he can get. Lights out, great start, Mackay. Side by side with Ali Tom. The beauty of Legends is that sometimes these drivers never get pitched against each other. Great start from Paul Mackay. Paul Mackay leads, and up into 2nd place goes Chris Hines. Hines in front of Ali Tom. Kevin Kettlewell in 4th position. It's great to commentate on all these different names and getting a chance to go at the front, and Mackay goes a little bit wide, gets some opposite lock, corrects it and manages to stay on circuit in front of Chris Hines in 2nd position. So that was a great start by Paul Mackay, and Ali Tom, who's still there in 3rd place, but gets it all sideways. Oh, curse of the commentator on Ali Tom. Paul O'Brien just misses it, but everybody else giving each other space as through into lead position goes Chris Hines. Hines leads. Then it's Paul Mackay in 2nd position, Kevin Kettlewell 3rd, Robbie Burgoyne's making progress. Through go the rest of the field, right the way down to John Bush, big car number 6 at the back. David Micklejohn as well going through. All those newcomers, of course, really getting to grips with the circuit and the bad weather that sadly we're having here in race 3 and that we had in race 2, of course. Race 1 was at least dry. There's Kieran Murray taking the outside line. Carol Brown in car number 7, the black car, trying to go up the inside. Now, I think top newcomer at the moment in this one is Rally Dave Newell in car number 4. Now, of course, because he scored less points in the first 2 races, he will have the advantage of starting in front of David Allen, who was the top scorer in terms of newcomers, and they're racing against each other in this. Obviously, we'll see who is the top rookie at the end of this race. As Kettlewell now, Kevin Kettlewell looks down the inside but goes a little bit hard into Scotsman. Robbie Burgoyne there in the red and blue car goes through, so Burgoyne's through. Following him through is Dean Brace through as well. Kettlewell just loses a little bit of ground, and he's got David Hunter down behind him as well now in the 2nd of the white cars, and then it's Ross Marshall and Carol Brown. So Ross Marshall has made good progress. Burgoyne up to 2nd. Paul Mackay is still running well. This is the great thing about Legends. If you're inexperienced and you get a start off the front of the grid for the 3rd race of any meeting, you can build your confidence, and that's exactly what Paul Mackay will be a big confidence, because when he watches this back he'll realise that he had a good few opening laps, even though he's being passed now by Dean Brace. There's Ross Marshall, of course, that's the reigning champion, going past him. Up the hill they go again, and Marshall having a good run. Now there in car number 4 is the top rookie in this race, David Newell. David Newell, look at that, how wet it is on the pit wall camera. That's probably the busiest job on the circuit, cleaning that particular camera, as we look at Dean Brace going down Duffers Dip in 3rd position, chasing Robbie Burgoyne. Getting away at the moment in front with a bit of a lead is Chris Hines. Now we're going to see a Hines win here.
The club, an amateur racer. Here at Go Racing TV, we salute you. And we want to give you all the tools and info to compete with the best. Find out how to do it all from your own garage by watching our Club Racer and Autocrosser shows. GoRacingTV.com, supplying all your video racing needs.
Off goes Paul Mackay's son, Daniel Mackay, off again. I think he's managed to rejoin. We'll try and pick up on the yellow and white car rejoining. His dad's gone through. He has rejoined. He's actually not too far behind his dad now, so there'll be some family feuding, I suspect, on who's the best driver out of the two, as Scott Hines gets it a little bit sideways as they come out of Clark Kerr, battle for the lead on. Now Robbie Burgoyne through into lead position, and the door is open by Chris Hines, and through goes Ross Marshall into 2nd position. Marshall into 2nd. He's not far away now from securing a hat trick. Sure, he's got to beat Robbie Burgoyne, who gave him pound for pound every bit as much effort in that earlier race that we saw. And Burgoyne, a very worthy adversary, as into pit lane. That's Dean Brace. Dean Brace in white retiring from the race. He's got into pit lane, but here we go, on board with Ross Marshall. This is he's back to 3rd position, trying to deal with Chris Hines, who's come back at him. There's Chris Hines back into 2nd place. Great driving from Hines. Chris Hines in 2nd, Robbie Burgoyne still in front, and Chris Hines isn't finished yet. This is a brilliant race from Hines. Chris, the younger of the two brothers, 22 years of age, his older brother Scott, 24, and Chris is challenging for the lead. Well, he's a little bit too far back actually to make a challenge, and at the moment gets a little bit more defensive from Ross Marshall, 25 years of age, so we've got a lot of good young drivers at the front of the field who of course are going to have the opportunity, perhaps if they're lucky enough, to go on to other formulae. This is a great place to learn your racecraft, and here comes Chris Hines again down the inside. Is he too far back to challenge Robbie Burgoyne, who's probably going for the dry track wide line? And Chris has got his nose in front. Now can he get the run out? No, he can't. Robbie Burgoyne, look how snaky it is. They come out of the hairpin, struggling to try and get the grip on these new Federal tyres. They do work, they work well. We certainly haven't seen too many problems with the drivers on this new rubber. They were using it for wet races last year, so there should be a little bit of experience in the field. But Robbie Burgoyne it is that still leads. Chris Hines driving a blinder here in second position. Third place is Ross Marshall after briefly coming up into second. Look who's caught them, David Hunter in car number 6, the white car, just getting a little bit sideways there, a little bit of oppo lock for him as they go through John R. Weir once again. 4 cars dicing it for the lead. It's Carol Brown in 5th position. We look back to 6 at the moment, which is Kevin Kettlewell. He's driven really well and maintained a top 6 position all the way through so far, and again it's going to be a massive confidence boost for Kevin, experienced grass track racer, and now applying all that he's learned from grass track racing into circuit racing and acquitting himself very, very well indeed. Now Ross Marshall into second, Chris Hines in third, David Hunter in fourth. If they squabble enough, then Carol Brown might well be able to come up and join this quartet too, but at the moment Ross Marshall back into second position and trying to challenge for lead place. You can see he's following Robbie Burgoyne wheel for wheel at the moment. That's so difficult with the spray that will be being kicked up. So now he comes offline. Looking at the inside as they come down to Dufferstip, but Burgoyne soaking up the pressure, or is he taking the runoff road? Burgoyne goes through the runoff down to Scotsman. Now is that going to scrub off speed because he's got a little bit of an advantage having done that, and sideways again. The pressure's on Dave Hunter as well, who's got up to third place now ahead of Chris Hines in fourth position, David Hunter up into third. Now if those two continue squabbling, it's going to free up the lead battle, but here comes Ross Marshall down the inside as they come up to car loop, side by side. No, they're not. Marshall's through, car number 3 is through, but we've seen Robbie Burgoyne fight back, and I wonder whether Burgoyne is going to be able to deny Ross Marshall a hat-trick on the opening weekend. Not if he carries on like that. Big sideways moment, a tank slapper they'd call it, and anything bigger, but he's coming back and having a look at the outside line. Look at the scrap for third as well. Chris Hines, what a racer he is as well, trying to come back to Dave Hunter. Carol Brown is driving her socks off to try and join this lead quartet of cars. Fastest man on circuit, Ross Marshall, 70.144. Remarkable lap times in very, very wet conditions, and it's Marshall that leads across the line again. Robbie Burgoyne in second position, and that scrap for third between Chris Hines and David Hunter. Hunter's got it at the moment. Hines seems to have lost a few lengths at the moment, and Hunter's trying to attach himself on the rear bumper of Robbie Burgoyne's car. Burgoyne, ex-oval racer, coming up to challenge Ross Marshall again for the lead. He's close again. Well, it ebbs and flows, the race lead at the moment. Marshall and Burgoyne both over the curbs, Hunter over the curbs as well. Chris Hines coming to join in the mix as well. Chris is coming out of the slipstream, looks down the inside, trying to retake third position. Third's closer than the lead at the moment. It's a shame we can't focus on that one. Has he gone through? No, he hasn't. And David Hunter in the white Beeston's car hangs on to third place. Out of Hislops, down into the tri-oval section once again. And it's Ross Marshall, who's looking pretty good so far. He's just got enough momentum perhaps to hang on to this couple of car lengths, but one mistake, one loss of momentum could throw the race for him, but you never really see him throw too much away. Hines up into third, last lap board going out. There's Kevin Kettlewell, off into the gravel goes David Newell. David Newell's in the gravel, he rejoins the newcomer. Well, you can forgive a newcomer, in fact you can forgive any Legends driver that event in this weather. It really is tricky out there as Hunter gets it sideways again. You can see the guys are fighting the cars all the way around this relentless rain here in this 10-lap race. Again, good car control from number 6, David Hunter, who hangs on to it. Through John R. Weir they go. It is still Ross Marshall up front. Hunter goes wide again, and this time he's punished for it. And through goes Hines. Chris Hines back into third position. It was just once too often, 2 errants for car number 6, David Hunter, down into fourth position. And Carol Brown, look at how carefully Carol's driving round. She's got the speed, the smoothness, and trying to close in on them. Here comes David Hunter, though. He wants third position back outside line as they come down into the hairpin. But I think Chris Hines probably knows he's got the best line, the midway point, avoiding the swimming pool on the inside, and comes out, grabs the line as they come out of the hairpin. Now, I mistook a driver warning signal on the last lap for the line. Now they're onto the last lap, and it's Ross Marshall onto his last lap here. 1.280 miles to go for Ross Marshall. Can he hang on to make it a perfect hat-trick this weekend? What a way to open the championship. Ahead of him is David Micklejohn. We saw him a couple of times last year, and he's resprayed the car this year. Great driving, keeps out of the way. Ross Marshall's through. Ross will be grateful for that. And David, of course, has been through his race training. He knows that he's got to stay out of the way. Look how much of a lead now. And look at that, David Hunter's back into third place. Hunter's back into third place. A cracking scrap going on between the two. But Ross Marshall has pulled the lead out to 3.5 seconds now. Micklejohn goes over the dirt, rejoins. Robbie Burgoyne has got plenty of room, though, to go through in second position. Micklejohn's going to be lapped by the third and fourth cars, who are still very much hard at it. And it is still David Hunter in third place, who's taken it back from Chris Hines. They've had a monumental battle, those two, but here's a man who's had a superb weekend. 3 wins out of 3 for Ross Marshall, who comes up and takes the checkered flag. It's 600 points from the meeting for Marshall, the undoubted winner of the round. From Robbie Burgoyne in second position, then Chris Hines actually got the better of David Hunter to take third place. Carol Brown, I think, is going to be third in the championship, having taken 5th position at the flag. A cracking opening round, the final then being won by Ross Marshall from Robbie Burgoyne. Ross getting fastest lap, incidentally. Chris Hines third from David Hunter and Carol Brown, with David Allen into the top 6, and he's top rookie. 7th was Kevin Kettlewell from David Newell. Then it was Paul O'Brien and Alan Fernley. 11th, Kieran Murray, and 12th, Daniel Mackay. 13th place went to Ali Tom, recovering from his early moment. 14th was Billy Waite, and then Paul Mackay in 15th. Scott Hines 16th from John Bushby, and David Micklejohn in 18th. Here's the points after round 1. Ross Marshall a perfect 600 from Robbie Burgoyne, 520 in second place. Carol Brown third, then it's David Hunter from Paul O'Brien, and David Allen, the rookie, coming into the top 6. Allen also, of course, leads the rookies. It's David Newell in second position and John Bushby in third.
We're here with, I'm going to call him Mr. Legends, 3 wins, Ross Marshall. What a weekend.
It's only took me 3 years to get that. It's one that I've been waiting to tick off for a long time. The guys at BurnettMotorsport.com, I've had a fantastic week. I phoned them on Wednesday saying I wanted to come out. They worked hard. Stuart at YP got the engine up here to us this morning. Fantastic things on rails. Couldn't ask for any more from the team.
And wet conditions, have they helped you, do you think?
No, it's wet conditions are treacherous. The hardest thing out there is being able to see. We've not got a windscreen, visor gets covered in muck and all the crap of the day, so no, it's very difficult. I'd rather dry any day of the week.
Well done, it's great to see you back, and hopefully another title.
Yeah, definitely, hopefully.
Well done, Ross. The runner-up in the final Legends race, you had a great race 2, a great race 3, not quite enough to keep with Ross though.
No, just didn't have it. He's got the grip there and the speed, so we were there or thereabouts, but just under braking, pushing the nose. At the start of the race the car was perfect, but towards the end of the race, maybe the last 4 laps, something like that, it started to go off and off and off. So I thought to myself, stay back, hold it back, bring it home for a second. There's no point in trying to chase him because I wasn't going to catch him, like, you know. So it's one of them. We'll just need to find out what he's got and we'll get it on ours and hopefully beat him. Is
that those new tyres that you mentioned after race 2?
That's new tyres, aye. Well, this what we've done is the tyres, we didn't put new ones on because they're no good from new, like, so this is still the dry tyres, like. But as you see, Rossi's on tyres is pretty well down as well, so don't know, we just need to find out where it is.
Well done, won't be long, hopefully be able to give him a bit more pressure and we'll get a dice for the lead.
That's it, that's what we're hoping for anyway, makes it more exciting.
Good job.
Excellent, thanks very much.
Third place in the final Legends race of the day, Chris Hines. Great job, but it was a tight battle, wasn't it?
It wasn't an easy battle by any means. The early lead was good, you know, like 4 or 5 laps on my own, making the pace. Ross and your man in the 99 car come through, but that last corner was just unbelievable, man. I wasn't sure if it was going to stick or not, and it was just a result it did, you know what I mean?
It's horrible slippery conditions.
Oh, it was terrible, but like, I had really, really good brakes, so at one point I nearly went past John, Ross and Robbie getting into Duffus, and then the next lap the brakes faded, so I was nearly off again, but when the brakes were there, like, I could have taken any of them. It was great.
Well done, great job.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Well, that's it. That's all we have time for from this week's edition of the Scottish Legends Championship. Do join us next time for more frantic action from these miniature hot rods.